first of all, I just want to say you made it. You're here. So big applause to you. I really appreciate you coming to this talk. Now you could be, as is the last talk, you could be out there partying, having a drink, playing games, but you decided to come here, so you really have my deep appreciation for that. With that being said, I see a pretty big crowd here, and I think that this must be some people that are interested in building design tools or looking after that. Whoever thought about building a design tool? All right, pretty good. So I just want to tell you a little bit about my journey, how I started to build this design tool. But first of all, I would like to say a few things about me. So I've been building software for the last 20 years. I'm interested in UI and UX design. Actually, the reason why I got into software was to paint pretty pixels on screen. That was my main motivation, and that's what got me to computer science. So I love Flutter since I found out about it, and also Figma. I spend a lot of time in Figma, and you'll see how this is relevant to our talk later today. Last but not least, that's my Twitter handle. If you want, you can follow me there. Oh, X, sorry, it's X now. Yeah, so we're here in Berlin. I'm sure everyone knows that. But just a reminder, and I want to talk a little bit about Berlin because it's somehow personal, related to this talk. So Berlin is a great city, a beautiful city, and it has beautiful places like this. You've probably seen this. It's a really popular tourist attraction. And here is another angle of that view. And the thing is, Berlin is beautiful today, and we love it, and we enjoy being here. But Berlin wasn't always like that, you know. So Berlin used to look also like this. As you might know, in 1961, there was this big wall in Berlin that used to divide the two worlds, East Berlin and West Berlin. And people were divided and would be able to talk, go to the other side and talk to other people about that. And it used to be like this till 1989, that people were just not able to go to the other side of Berlin and visit their friends. And there were lots of people that got into trouble for trying to climb this wall. And I'm curious, who visited the Berlin Wall? Pretty big crowd. And it's specifically this wall that I would like to talk about. Because you see, coming back to our industry, we also have this wall, you know? And our wall is a different one, but it looks like this. So there is a wall between Figma and Flutter. I'm sure you're aware of that. And designers spend time in Figma, developers spend time in Flutter, and usually we don't go to the other side of the wall. Or when we go to the other side of the wall, we usually get into trouble. So I thought of a way how to jump over that wall, how to help people jump from Figma to Flutter, and that's how I started working on a tool. And that tool, and which some of you might know about, it's called Flamva. Flamva is the tool that I'm working on. And if you were last year at my talk, you saw a sneak peek of Flamva. This is how it used to look like. And you could see you could have a instant preview of converting Figma. So we have Figma and then Flutter and the generated Flutter code. And this is how what was my initial approach of jumping over that wall from Figma to Flutter. But as I spent more time working on this, I couldn't help but think of this thing. Why should there be a wall in the first place? Why do we need to climb that wall? What do we need to think about? Oh, I'm a designer, I'm a developer, I can't be both. So why do we have this limitation? And so I was thinking, what if we would follow the example of people here in Berlin? What if we would tear down that wall and make it not exist anymore? And what if we have Figma and Flutter in the same place, and they could enjoy each other, you know? And so, as I was working on this, my goal shifted a little bit. So my initial goal was Figma to Flutter. As you can see here, this is an old T-shirt. But the new goal here is Figma plus Flutter. So what do I mean by this? I will show you a little bit here. But first, the main thing that could help us build this special place where Figma and Flutter coexist is an infinite canvas. So a canvas, if you use Figma, who here is using Figma? I knew that, but I wanted to double check. So in Figma, you know, we have that infinite canvas. And I was thinking, what if we could bring that canvas to Flutter? So I would jump right out the presentation for a little bit. And here is a sample app. This is a sample design tool. This is bare bones, just to, for you to get a understanding how to approach this. And yeah, my design tool is here and not there. So thank you for pointing that one out. So here is a sample design tool. And what I have here, let me show you. So I have Figma. Let me move this here. So if I go to Figma here, and I select this one, then I go back to my design tool, and I say, search for selection. You see, we have that Figma node, we have it here, and we can interact it. And this is a Flutter widget, and these are our Flutter widgets. So we just brought the Figma layer onto the Flutter canvas. And now we can interact with them all. We can all select them and move them at the same time. And this is a sneak peek of what I'm building right now. I mean, this is not how Flamva will look in the end, but I just wanted to give you a stripped down app and to talk what were the challenges that I encountered doing this. Because, thank you. So let's talk about the challenges. When you're building an infinite canvas, this turned out to be a pretty complex widget, because it's a widget after all. After in Flutter, everything is widget. There is one question that you need to answer every time. And that question is, what happens? What happens? It's a vague question, you know. But let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So when you press the mouse down, here in this case, pressing down the mouse will clear the selection. I mean, the video is looping, and you can really see that. Sorry for that. But the point here is that pressing down the mouse will clear the selection. No? But let's take another example. If we press the mouse down here, and then we move it, it will start the selection. So we have the same starting point. We're pressing the mouse down, but we have different results based on the sequence of events. And for implementing this, my first thought was, OK, I will just write some ifs. And I'll say, OK, if I'm on the background, then do that. And that got me to a certain point. But then I started to run into edge cases, you know. So I started to land in a pretty nasty place, pretty nasty land. I land in the land of ifs. So I'm sure some of you went to this land, the land of ifs, where everything, you start with an if condition, like is selection empty? Then you add, OK, hey, I should also handle this edge case. and you add another if condition, and another Boolean. And then as you do this, you will go into Boolean complexity, where you have a lot of Booleans that try to, and you try to use these to make you make sense of your state. And I think most of you got into this place because when I first started learning Flutter and I was creating my first widget, the basic example I started with was, okay, this widget, when I move the mouse over the widget, it should have a different color. So the way I wrote that widget code was, if is hovered, then the color would be that. Does that ring a bell? Did anyone else write code like that? If the okay, few of you. I want to talk with the others to see what you're doing. But as I got working on this, I got into more and more edge cases, and I thought, hey, I must be doing something wrong. And I wonder if there is a better way of doing this. And I tried different ways. And the reason why I wanted to come and give this talk to you, because I don't want this talk to be about Flamva. I want this talk to be about the solution I ended up with, and I want to talk to you about that solution, and maybe you will use that solution for your own challenges in the future. Because this is an example of a widget, the infinite canvas. But I'm sure that the patterns of interactions that we have here, like pressing down the mouse, moving it, or just pressing down and releasing it, these are patterns that I'm sure that you encounter when building your own widgets. So the technique that I'm about to propose you here is not useful just for building an infinite canvas, but an infinite canvas is a very good example of a complex widget with a complex state that you can implement. And you know, I mentioned the word state, and this wouldn't be a proper Flutter talk without talking about state, right? I mean, state is everywhere. State is an overused word in the Flutter world. Everyone is talking about state. And if I would want to talk about state, I would try to to answer this question, what is state? Because state to me is like a vague thing. It's like saying, I need a way to manage things. So if I came up to any of you and I would say, hey, can you help me? I need a way to manage things. Your first answer would probably say, what kind of things? I mean, be more specific. And it's the same thing with state. So state can mean multiple things. State can mean app state or interaction state. App state is answering the question, where is my app data? So whether my user is logged in, what are the items in this cart, that's all data. That's managing data. Interaction is what happens when my user does this. What happens when my user interacts with these widgets. So there are two different things, but somehow in the Flutter community, we talk about them as a whole, and we talk about them as state management. And this is vague, and this leads to a lot of problems, because state means different thing for everybody. Think about state. And that's why we had lots of packages around state, and people can't decide which one is better. So for dealing with app state, we have things like provider and reverb pod and block and all that. And I'm sure there are fans of them here. But remember, we started with this question, what happens? So the challenges I encountered while building this design tool were not related to app state. They were related to interaction. Because, you know, just to give another example, let's say you select some items on the screen, and you try to move that to another place on the canvas, but you decide at one point, you know, I'm not seeing a lot on the screen, so I just want, while my mouse is pressed, I just want to zoom out a little bit, you know? So you press the command key and the scroll wheel on your keyboard, and now you need to handle this interaction. And I'm sure as you probably guess, this is a mess to write. I mean, to write this code, that, okay, how do I handle when the mouse is pressed, when I already have an active selection, when I press command, when I press the mouse wheel, just to zoom out. This is a pain, it was a pain in the ass to implement. So, as I said, ifs didn't happen, so I tried a lot of the things. And while trying these things, what I realized is that in order to solve this problem, I need to be very explicit about it. And I need to be, another word that I like to be precise. So what I ended up with was, okay, in order to solve this complex problem, I need to answer, okay, when I'm in this state and my user does this, what happens next? And I got to this subject that I'm sure ones of you who study computer science know about. It's a state machine. This is, so who here work with state machines? Pretty good. I'm really happy for this crowd. So who tried to use state machines to implement widgets in Flutter? Yeah, so a lot of, just a few hands, and there are just a few hands, and I want to tell you, I really understand why there are such few hands. Because state machines, you don't really think about them when working with UI. But state machines, as it turns out, they're really good for solving complex UI interactions. And I would like to show you an example of how it works. And as I was preparing this talk, I was just trying to define more states and define more complex behavior. And I will now actually show you my actual implementation for this example app, so we can talk on real code. Who wants to see real code? Thank you. So I'll just go back here, and I'll go back to cursor, and also put it on your screen. And just a moment. All right. So here is what you see is a very big text. Yeah. So, all right. So just wanted to, I will get into the details later, but just want you to take a little bit of look at this code. So actually, let's go to a simple example. Let's go to, you know what? As I was working on this before the demo, I realized that I made some changes and my demo wasn't working anymore. So I saved that code to a different branch, and now we will switch to that branch to just for you to see my latest code. So just bear with me for a while here. All right. I want to actually have this mouse here. So, I showed that example earlier, that we have the mouse over the background, and you would click on it and would clear the selection. And here, that is expressed here as this mouse left down event. And when you were clicking the mouse over the background, it goes into the mouse left press state. And the mouse left press state, we would say, okay, so you see here mouse left press state, and when we're going to mouse left press state, okay, when we're entering that event, what do we want? We want to clear the selection. So that is how I define what happens when I enter that particular state. But if you see there, we have, when we're entering a mouse press state here, we also have, we can have a mouse move event. So that is the second example I showed you, where I press down the mouse and then I move it, so then I start a murky selection. So that case is handled here. When I am in the mouse press state and I press, when I move the mouse, I will go to here, to this handler, and this doesn't do anything, just it transitions the state into to the selection tool murky state. And this going from one state to another, where that state is specific to a problem, this saved me a lot of hours and a lot of bugs. And I'm sure that once you try this, it might look a little bit scary in the beginning, but once you try this, I'm telling you, you could literally express the way your app works on a diagram on a whiteboard. Your entire app, you can express that with state machines. So in order to do this, you might look at this code, and I bet some of you are looking at this code and are wondering, doesn't this look a little bit like block? Who worked with block here? So does this look similar to block to you? We also have events in block, and you also have states in block. So I talked to some of my friends, and they said, but Bogdan, isn't this just block? Why should we use? Why shouldn't you use block? Why should we use a state machine? And remember what I talk about being explicit and being precise. The problem with block is that you can emit blocks. You can emit a lot of blocks whenever you want. So you can go from one state to another. Nobody will ask you anything. But in order to make sure that we don't have bugs in our code, we need to actually be explicit, and we need to actually specify where do we want to go in, what state do we want to go in. And this is what a state machine helps with. A state machine will, when you're using a state machine, at every point in time, you'll be able to say, okay, how did I end up here? What were the sequence of events that got me to this position? And that is really, really good for another thing that some of you might do. That's good for testing. The thing is that you see this logic here when my mouse is over background and I move it. This logic here, this doesn't have any Flutter widget code inside it. So it doesn't have any Flutter-specific code. And one benefit of doing this is that you can actually test it really easily. So you can take this logic. In theory, you could take this logic and move it to a React app or a Swift app or another app. So this logic here is this business logic is really portable. It doesn't depend on the language or framework that you're using it for. Who here thinks that this is a useful way of writing interaction code? All right, I see some of you. And my question is, would you like to be able to write code like this? I mean, do you think this would be useful for your project? Because if your answer is yes, then I will be releasing a package, because I would just don't want to keep this all to myself. I'm releasing this as a package because this is the way that I want to write my apps, all my apps, starting from now on. Because I want it to be really precise about what state I'm in and how I got there. So this, believe me or not, this leads to a lot of less bugs. So, and I want to show you exactly as I was debugging this, as I was running this code. So, if we go back to this app here, you know what? Actually, let's go to cursor and restart. Yeah. You know, this is my other branch. But the thing about this, the way I designed this state machine package, is that it will help you along the way. So as you define a state and an event, you will be able to write that code. And the reason why I wanted to write this code like this is because you see here this mouse over background. This is a definition of a state. So this is a state data. Then you go here and you see a mouse move. There's a definition of an event. And so you have here, you have a series of events like mouse left down, mouse right, mouse up, mouse move, tool changed. This is the one that changes the tool here from selection to draw a rectangle. And here are the states that we define, and we register that event in the state machine. And then here are the properties that we have for those events. So as you can see, you can add properties and specific data to your event. And just to go back to here to my presentation. As I showed you how do you define those classes, there is one principle that I wanted to keep in mind when building UIs like this. You always want to send events, you don't want to send behavior. So you just want, when the mouse is moving, you just want to send to the state machine, okay, this is what happened, and then the state machine will take care of that. So don't write code like on mouse move, do this, because just on mouse move, do this leads to a lot of bugs. The right way to think about this is, if I'm in this state and I get a mouse move, then I should do that. So it's this state here that you should always know about. Because if you don't know what state you're in, when you receive an event, you'll have a lot of bugs, and you'll turn to a lot of problems. And as you can see, I'm making a pretty big deal about this because Flutter is a really great piece of technology. So Flutter will help you implement an infinite canvas. No worries. But at least in my case, what I spent the most time working on was dealing with these different interactions. Because as you see, it's a really complex piece of widget, and you'll have to deal with a lot of interactions. So let me go back here a little bit. So as I was working on this, I just want to leave you with one message that I have to you. Let's start building without walls. Let's start taking design and code and bring them into the same place. And that's what I'm doing with Flanva. And if you want to follow my progress on Flanva, you can follow me. And I would like to thank you for spending your time here. And now I'm ready to take some questions. Thank you.